Hello there. Recently, I saw this trend on Twitter called shut down science. And I was surprised to actually see that in the first place. And so obviously, I did what any sane person would do, go on that hashtag and try to see what this whole shutdown science is all about. And I was surprised because the movement, I don't even call it a movement because it looks like just a few people who wanted to shut down science, whatever it means to them. But surprisingly, there were a lot of reputable magazines who were, standing behind that. On surface, it looks like uh, that hashtag represent the discrimination towards, uh, say, black people in the STEM science. But once I start going and looking at some of the other people who are trying to trend that hashtag, I was baffled because one of their argument was that the whole science was started by the white people or the Western civilization. So we need to reevaluate it and shut down the entire science and build a science again. First of all, that's insane. That doesn't even make sense because science is indifference to any specific culture, any specific color, any specific religion. In fact, science is or was the movement which educated people that whites and blacks and browns all are human. That is because of science. In fact, science was the movement which rebelled against church and the narration of the church at the time to share, to spread the concepts of science and where anyone can participate in science, and all they need to do is experiment, come up with their hypothesis, prove that it's a theory, and they can pretty much create a whole stream of laws, science, and type of science, in for that matter, uh, with their research, with their knowledge altogether. But one of the things which I saw in some random video was she was advocating for magic, which were propagated in like the olden tribal civilization and whatnot. See, that's where it becomes kind of sketchy because there is already a field for that called pseudoscience. If you think that magic is real, then all you need to do is bring data and bring indisputable facts, and you will literally create a law of magic. But otherwise, you're saying that we need to rebuild a system which complies with some of the ancient superstitions. That's insane. That's losing sanity. There are a lot of good concepts which have been pushed out of the whole scientific community because it itself is a system of its own, and I can see that sometimes is to few people, but it doesn't mean that science itself is a flawed method. And clearly, science doesn't know everything. It cannot, because by definition, science is about discovering, uh, with all the data, all the new information. So you will never find that science is always right. I mean, it is right based on data. Like Newton, uh, when he calculated all the gravitational laws, he was baffled with some of the places where his gravitational law was not applicable. And for him, he actually attributed to God. But then come along Einstein, who brought in the laws of relativity, and all the Newtonian physics sort of made sense with the new laws altogether, with the new equation altogether. So that's how science works. Yeah, there are limitations within our current reality as well, but it doesn't mean we need to just break down all the science and go back to some sort of like magic, which doesn't work consistently. If it does, then uh, everyone would be practicing magic. See, I'm not saying that everything which we see in our reality is the only thing which is real, because we are bounded with our reality itself. So there are a lot of things which science don't know, and maybe science might never know. And especially if anyone have a ayahuasca experience or a DMT experience, and along with that, like a lot of other types of psychedelic experience, you can see that there are realms of reality which are outside of our current reality. And it's hard to describe, but it doesn't mean that it's a magic. And it doesn't mean that we should dismantle all the scientific method which we all together built, uh, and are and is the reason why we have progress so far. And if you go back to any ancient civilization, take Egyptian civilization for that matter, they had different scientific methods because of which they were able to construct the whole pyramids. And to this day, as far as I understand, we don't know how they were able to bring in all the big stones and pile them in the desert and constructed that pyramid, because it's astonishing to us. But one thing is for sure, there wasn't any magic involved. They used the scientific methods and they created machines based on that method. And it's very plausible that we lost the technology of those machines. Likewise, in similar analogy, in India, we have this iron pillar, which is pure iron. When I say pure, it's like 99% pure iron, and it cannot be rusted at all. And to this day, people don't know how is that even possible. Rusting is the core reason why we moved away from iron and embraced steel. But the Indian civilization at the time had knowledge of how to create pure rest form of iron without rust. So what happened to that knowledge? It's lost in the history. But it doesn't mean that there was a magic involved. And at the same time, science is the process to rediscovering some of those techniques. So that's where reverse engineering sort of comes into picture. What I see right now is that the world is in chaos, and a lot of people are just throwing out a bunch of their virtual signals in the virtual world of social media. And if you have one-to-one conversation with most of these people, you will realize how flawed their arguments are, or how flawed my arguments are for that matter. But just coming up with a cool hashtag and just putting it out there and sort of caching it with an actual ongoing issue is disingenuous. Because Black Lives Matter is a real movement, and that was triggered because of the decades of atrocities and the systematic racism. But saying that everything which evolved into that system is bad is being disingenuous. I mean, there are a lot of flaws in the system for sure, and that's why I say the system is broken. And there are parts of system which should be dismantled altogether for sure. And personally, I don't think science is one of them. They're likewise, the system of democracy is not one of them. If going with the same argument to dismantle all the system built by white people or Western civilization, then that extends to democracy as well. And I don't think anyone in their right mind would like to live in a society which is any other form of government other than democracy. And the reason why I say that is because for a very long period of time, our civilizations have lived in monarchy. And there are still civilizations who are living in communism and different flavors of fascism. The beauty of democracy is that the people have a say. But I agree that in the current moment, that is more of an illusion. That the people who think that they have a say is an illusion. So that's why system is broken. But the monarchy is the worst. The communism is the worst. And also, it's debatable what exactly is communism, because the way most of the communistic governments evolved eventually has a very bad history behind it. And on the same end, if you look at the capitalistic society, like crony capitalistic society, who actually go to the extent of not caring for lives, like in the case of the American history, the slavery, it's a result of capitalistic society. And likewise, the different wars which in which U.S. is involved is a part of capitalistic society. So there is no right form in most of these systems, and that's where the key is to find a balance. And capitalism and socialism are the best form of governing and are the best part of having people involved into the system and improve the system instead of like distancing the people. And if unchecked, capitalism as well as socialism goes to the extreme and turn into a fascism of either monarchy or communism at the extreme level. And I feel that the intention of most of the systems are not correct. Like, for an example, the intention of the judicial system is not to give justice anymore. It's more of a political play. Likewise, the intention of education system is not to educate people. It's, I don't know, whatever it evolved into, just to kind of train people to become a machine so that they can go and work in industrial life, I guess, which was sort of fruitful back in 1900s, but not anymore. And likewise, the intention of any other system, you can go into what the system is doing and are they implementing it right, and if not, the intention is clearly out of balance. And the movements like Black Lives Matter or the Wall Street movement, these movements actually help to tilt the balance in the center, because whenever the balance shift on one or the other side, it spiral into extremism. And extremism is never a right answer for anything, period. I believe that we as a society can do better, especially by embracing the science. Instead of distancing ourselves because of our beliefs, because of our history, because of our civilization, or whatever you might feel emotionally. That's not science. Science works on data. And if you have a hypothesis about any type of field, like, whether it's boiled down to physical laws, which is what mostly science is structured around. And there are surely a lot of laws which are out there but cannot be proven. But that's why it's not part of science. It's called pseudoscience. And if you truly believe into any of those laws, I mean, as I do in some of them, like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, there's this natural law in the universe that 20% of effort can give you 80% of result. And you can see that at the bigger level as well, that 20% of the people would have 80% of the wealth in the society. And that's a natural law which sort of automatically align after a given time period. So those type of laws, which cannot be proven with science, it's not part of science. I mean, you can look at those patterns and you can maybe say that these patterns will be helpful in my personal life because this is this underlying pattern towards it. But you can't include that in the science unless there is a proper materialistic data to prove that. Because if that were true, then that would be true for all the 80-20 cases, which is not, right? Sometimes it's 5 and 95, sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's different. But that's the underlying principle in a way, but not a law. Law in the physical sense. So I have strong disagreement with people who just want to disregard the system which has a lot of value, like science again. And it's all debatable, like what is a helpful system, what is unhelpful, what is discriminatory, what is what is like unbiased system. And that's where we should have good conversation around each of these topics. But just outright dismantling all the system is not the solution. Likewise, I don't agree with all the people who say that we should abolish all the police system. That's being naive. You can say that you want to reform to the core. I get with that. Like just getting rid of the entire system would cause more chaos. And chaos is not what most of us are prepared for. But it's a good conversation to maybe dismantle a lot of parts of the policing system, right? To kind of get back to the core, the essence of what the police system should be, and all the bad actors which are participating in that system and corrupting that system altogether. In a lot of sense, they are rotting the system altogether. So those bad actors should be plugged out of those systems. But just getting rid of the system is not the right solution. And again, it depends on the type of system. I want to be very clear, because there was a system of slavery which was horrible. And I'm glad that we as a human society got rid of that. Still, there are a lot of societies, a lot of countries where slavery is still ongoing issue, or human trafficking is still ongoing issue. So we still have to address those systems. But that doesn't mean that we should dismantle all the systems. We have to pick and choose our battles. We have to pick and choose which one is adding value to the society, is adding to the peace within the society, and which one is actually causing chaos, and get rid of the chaotic system, get rid of those systems which are discriminatory and causing injustice to different people. And clearly, I'm not equipped to kind of change any. I won't say change, but create any system from grounds up, because I don't have those skill set. But there are a lot of smart people, a lot of people out there who have good understanding of various systems, and they should be looped in and should be participant of reforming these systems. At the personal level, I believe that it will take time. Everything which we are doing right now will take time. And hopefully, the movement which we are all part of, voluntarily or involuntarily, accelerate the time to reform some of these systems. And in the past 2 weeks, I have seen that a lot of local governments, as well as now even state governments, are coming together to have that conversation of how we can create a better system of policing, how we can create a better system to involve all the people of all races, of all ethnicity. And it's a very important conversation in the United States right now, because the United States is a melting pot. And that's one of the things I'm proud of the United States. And in the past, India used to be the melting pot. India used to have India used to have this open society where people from any culture, people from any race, people from any ideas would be able to participate. And that's why India's core message when it comes to visitors is like, we treat visitors as God, because that's what it means to the essence, that we are open to embrace any culture and any race and any religion. But there has been a lot of divisions within Indian society as well. And in the current state, it is falling apart. And so is the United States as well. But I'm hopeful that all of these systems will get better. Hopefully in next few decades. And eventually we all will be part of this bigger civilization and, more inclusive of everyone else. And hopefully these crazy ideas of shutting down science doesn't gain traction. And that would be a lot of step backs into the dark ages. The scientists fought the dark ages to kind of spread this knowledge of the reality itself. And dismantling the whole scientific system would be a crazy notion. So what if it was predominantly contributed by white people at the time? In fact, look at the factors which enabled the white people to contribute to the science at the time. And those factors was lesser wars. Those factors were not forced into a specific industry, or not forced to earn to live. And those are the factors where people will thrive. Like if everyone on this planet have equal access to opportunities, regardless of the outcome, then there will be more people who would be able to do what they want to do. And I am 100% sure that majority of the people in the world will gravitate towards science automatically, regardless of their religion or race or their culture. And at that point, it will be there would be surge in more scientific research, and we will see more of these scientific theories, laws kind of pop up, and it will be accelerating all the evolutionary process altogether. All right, speaking of which, I'm gonna start meditating for next hour using Vipassana technique. And bunch of other techniques. And if you're just getting started into meditation, this is the right time. All you need to do is find a good, comfortable place and close your eyes and just start focusing on your natural flow of breath. That's a good start. And then you can start observing the sensations around your nasal area, because if you're focusing on your breath, then you will automatically start feeling sensations around your nasal area. And eventually, once you start focusing on the rest of your body, you will feel sensations throughout your body. And from what I understand, these sensations are always part of us. It's more like our awareness is all around we are focused on all the other factors. So we are not aware of these sensation which your body is feeling right now. And that's the beauty of your mind. I mean, all of our brains have a lot of biases. It arguably, lot of have a lot of limitations, and sometimes he is even dumb. But the good thing of not feeling these sensations all the time is that you would be able to focus and bring your awareness to different part of your life. That's how you'll be able to read or write or do whatever you want to. And when you sit down quietly and start focusing on these sensations, it's more like being in a therapy and dealing with your buried emotion. And the more you practice the Vipassana meditation, the better you will become at feeling your sensations. And I believe that mindfulness and that awareness of sensation will help you in your everyday life, because when you're triggered to be happy or to be angry or to be any emotion, you will feel that sensation ahead of that feeling itself in some cases. So you'll be able to control your anger without doing something or saying something which you didn't want to say. So all in all, it's a helpful tool to calm yourself, to navigate through any crisis within your life. So I hope that you start meditation practice every single day. All right. And I'm going to set an alarm and get started. Alrighty, I will see you in an hour. Thanks for joining me for this meditation session. Until next time, stay peaceful.